Hello, learners, and welcome to this module of NGO Introductory to NGO Management. In today's session, which is going to be one of the key elements of Introductory to NGO Management, is your structured interpersonal communication. In the module, we are going to look at affiliation, power, control, interview as a structured interpersonal communication, the inadequate response. We are going to learn about effective interviewing in phases 1, 2, 3, and 4. To start with, affiliation. In simple terms, if you were to ask me what is affiliation, affiliation would be the state or relationship of being closely associated or affiliated with a particular person, group, party, or company. In interpersonal communication, it is very, very important that it is between two persons. It is a sender and a receiver. So, in either of the parties, affiliation plays a very important role in terms of the person's association with the person. A person who is associated to some, the first family will have a feeling of delight and elite feeling wherever he or she goes. Now, if you are from a group who has won an international laurel in arts or science or in elections and all, you have a different feeling. That I come from BJP, I come from BJD, and company. You look at people, you mix with people, people say, I am an inferior. I'm from Tech Mahindra. They say I'm from Larsen and Toubro. They say I'm from Indian Tobacco Company. So everywhere, every person whom you meet is either affiliated to a person or a group or party or a company, and that gives a very different feeling. Affiliation. All human beings have a need to belong. Our interactions in interpersonal relationships are based on how strong our need for affiliation is. For some, the need is very high and is evident through their gregarious, friendly, outgoing behavior. For others, the need may be low and such persons may be perceived as asocial and unfriendly. It clearly says that for some persons the affiliation is very, very important, and for some it does not matter. The way they are like to be left like that, or they are okay with what they are by themselves. Hence, it is important to strike a balance along the continuum of affiliation needs, particularly at the workplace, for sustaining meaningful relationship. The context, however, needs to be kept in mind. An over-friendly supervisor may make others uncomfortable or may not take things seriously. Similarly, a cold, emotionally distant colleague will be an ineffective member of a team working together. Our need for affiliation should not be played out in such a manner at workplace that it prevents meaningful interactions and maximizing our potential. It's a day-to-day prevalence, and we would have experienced ourselves that if a team member is very friendly with us, or we give scope to him or her with an excuse to leave the work and go, that becomes a habit. So and that too, your affiliation or your being an NGO manager, if you go outside and have a cup of tea, or you become too much affiliated to a person, the person might take an undue advantage of yourself. So everything should have a limit, and everything should be within a decorum. Power. Moving on to power. Power is the ability to control people or things or do something. In communication, power and control are not synonymous. While the communicators bring their personal and social power to the communication event, a great deal of power is also given to the person by others with whom he or she interacts. For example, in certain kind of partnerships, too much power is given to the partner to determine and affect one's happiness. Each opinion, comment, criticism, and appreciation affects the other, thereby determining his state of mind. I repeat, in communication, power and control are not synonymous. While the communicators bring their personal and social power to the communication event, a great deal of power is also given to the persons by others with whom he or she interacts. For example, in certain kind of partnerships, too much power is given to the partner to determine and affect one's happiness. Each opinion, comment, criticism, and appreciation affects the other, thereby determining his state of mind. Control. The power and ability to make something do what you want. Control. What is control? Control, on the other hand, is a person's need for dominance. Like the need for affiliation, this too could be high or low along a continuum. In human transactions, one thus sees people who are highly dominating and others who are submissive. Sometimes such dyads thrive on and complement each other. At other times, the submissive partner could feel resentful and angry that remains helpless to change the style and pattern of communication. Till now, we have gone through affiliation, power, and control, which play or put an influence on the structured interpersonal communication. Coming on and moving on and drifting our attention and slightly focusing on a structured interpersonal communication, one thing which comes to the mind is the interview. What is interview? Interview is a meeting at which somebody is asked questions to find out if he or she is suitable for the job or a course of study. Meeting. It is also a meeting place wherein a journalist asks somebody in order to find out his or her opinion. As NGO managers, interviewing for different purposes is almost a daily activity. Now, the challenges which NGO managers face is the getting the right manpower for the right fitment. The right manpower makes 90% of your job done. But that is not in a day's process, but it's an everyday affair that you get the pearl out of the oceans when you make your search more rigorous, and it's a cumbersome affair. One could be interviewing prospective entrants to the organization, counseling clients, conducting research, or reviewing performance. Each of these tasks, the manager is required to interview the person sitting across. Such passion often goes beyond gathering information and encompasses understanding values and beliefs, problem solving, and exploring alternatives. Some objectives of interviewing are: Objective 1, obtaining information. You, being an NGO manager, obtain the information, that is, gather facts, ask questions, and seek clarification. Suppose you get a candidate who is best and has outperformed of all the candidates and all. Now it's your responsibility to check his track record and see why he left the previous organization. Where is he that he has faltered in? Information has to be in all angles. Now, under structured interpersonal communication, we are dealt with the first objective of interviewing, that is, obtaining information. Now we move on to the second thing, which is providing information. The facts which are present, the detailing of the facts, and what information we have got and what we are instructing go hand in hand. Counseling. We have to counsel the prospective candidates, a candidate who is going to turn as a recruit. explore personal strengths, networks, issues of concern, and possible alternatives. Problem solving. We have to, objective 4 is problem solving. We have to identify the problem, possible causes, and seek a solution. Problem solving is the thing of any situation, or maybe any circumstances and all. Problems go hand in hand. The way out is to find a solution and to come out of that. So of structured interview, the first one which we dealt was obtaining the information, second was providing information, third was counseling, fourth was problem solving, fifth is performance appraisal. Seek information, offer feedback on performance, jointly set goals to be achieved in the next appraisal meeting. It is very, very important that once you meet your team, you have to set the target and give it to them. Ask them the information individually. What is the progress you have done in the past 8 to 10 months? What is that which made you highlight what you have done out of the rest? And give the feedback and give a fresh target so that you review your team in the next appraisal meeting. The last but not least, the sixth structured interpersonal communication interviewing objective is addressing grievances. Listen to the prospective problems, understand, work on the issues jointly or in teams. If it is possible at your end to solve a problem, solve it, or take time, work jointly or in teams and find it a solution. The seventh objective of interpersonal communication is employment related. Select the appropriate candidate, job based on the job profile and competence of the individual. And number 8 is research. Seek understanding between objectives and data. Provide information to program planners and policy makers. So just to wrap up the structured interpersonal communication, where interviewing plays a very important tool in day-to-day office life, which is the process of getting the right talent to the NGO. Is number 1, the objective is obtain the information of the candidates. We collect the information which is provided by the candidates, counsel them, solve their problems. Number 4, performance appraisal. Number 6, addressing grievances. Number 7, employment related. And number 8 would be your research and all. Now, besides asking appropriate questions in a sensitive manner, active participation of the interview is important for the communication process to continue. Interpersonal communication, let me tell you, as we discussed in the previous sessions, is always between two persons. Inadequate response. If the response is inadequate by the interviewee, the whole episode of interview is futile. Some of the examples of inadequate responses we need to avoid during interpersonal communication are the over-verbalized answer, the irrelevant answer, the partial answer, monosyllabic answer, and no answer scenario. What is this over-verbalized answer? So let's look at it, what it is. The over-verbalized answer, it is one where one tells the interviewer much more than she or he wants to know. For example, if you ask someone, what is your opinion on the best way to deal with this situation, the candidate responds by sharing a problem she or he has experienced in the past, efforts made to deal with those, and how nothing helped. Before coming to the point, there is a danger that the point itself is lost. The question which is asked gets diluted when you have answers which are more than the focused answers. That is known as the over-verbalized answer. The irrelevant answer. Irrelevant answer is another variation of an over-verbalized answer. The response may be tangential and not in keeping with the question posed. This is sometimes used unconsciously to avoid answering an uncomfortable situation, or the person may not have understood the question in the first place. People in positions of power who are on a very elite position of power often evaluate questions by providing they evade questions by providing an irrelevant answer. Moving on to the next inadequate response by an interview is the partial answer. The partial answer is one that provides only partial information. The interviewee has either not understood or heard the question fully. This could be because of anxiety or preoccupations that interfere with optimum participation. The interviewer may thus wish to break upon questions or re-ask them. Monosyllabic answers is the fourth one. Monosyllabic answer in the form of yes or no, maybe, are often obtained when closed-ended questions are posed. Interviewees may not be comfortable answering questions, may not trust the interviewer, or may be resistant and hostile to being questioned. In such situations, the interviewing styles need to be reviewed and changed. No answer scenario is perhaps the most difficult to deal with. People could respond with "I do not wish to discuss this," or "no comment," or silences. The interview may end on the note unless the interviewer is creative enough to elicit participation through empathetic listening and use of relationship building skills. So these were the inadequate responses which we just dealt with. That was the over-verbalized answer, the irrelevant answer, the partial answer, monosyllabic, syllabic, and no answer scenario. And moving on, interview, as discussed, that is a structured interpersonal communication tool. And one of the phases with which the interview should go on is, there are 4 phases. Phase number 1, the interviewer would begin with a brief introduction of self and move on to describe the purpose and brief content of the interview, reducing suspense and increasing the transparency of the interview process helps the interviewees relax and be less guarded. It is also important to set boundaries of time and mention interviewees' rights during the interview. Assurance of confidentiality of information shared, absence of coercion, respond, and sharing expected outcome of the interview, win over people, motivating them to participate actively in the dialogue. Moving on to phase 2. The middle phase constitutes the body of the interview, and considerable time is spent on this. It is important to prepare for and plan the session in advance, anticipating possible difficulties and ways of dealing with these. At the beginning, posing broad, neutral question helps. Gradually moving to more sensitive topics. Prior to embarking on a sensitive topic, a brief introduction to the topic and assurance of confidentiality conveys respect for the interviewee and serves as a motivating factor to participate. The structure of the middle phase, depending on the purpose of interview, could last up to 35 to 40 minutes or may extend to several discussions over a period of time, but then interview should be always specific, time-bound, and maximum 30 minutes and not more than that. Now moving on to phase 3. Dominating the interview is as important as initiating a discussion. Boundaries of time set in the initial phase help both participants anticipate closure. Unpleasant, difficult topics should be effectively dealt with as one draws closer to the end of the session. Never start a fresh topic towards the tail end of the interview. Paying attention to these details is important in order to avoid carrying on with unpleasant, unfinished business outside of the interview session. Ensuring emotional safety of the interviewers is the responsibility of the interviewer. Being an interviewer, you should never humiliate or put the interviewee in a very bizarre state or a confused state. Moving on to the last phase of the interviewing session, the phase 4. The last few minutes could be utilized to summarize the content of the discussion. The interviewee could be asked to share his/her thoughts on the process, particularly if the interview is extended into future sessions. A final word of acknowledgement is called for to end the interview on a positive note. So with this, we come to the end of the session, and I hope the terminologies like affiliation, power, control, which seem to be a normal words, but they play a very vital role in molding in NGOs' growth and progress. Then in interview, which is a structured interpersonal structured interpersonal communication to the objectives which we went through, the inadequate response, and the phases where we have to look at interviewing the candidates, because interview is the tool. It is a structured interpersonal tool where we filter the most perspective and the best candidate who will take our NGO further to the next level and get it going. So that's all, dear learners. We'll come up with some more enriching sessions for you. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.